Peace be upon you all and welcome to the channel. In this video tutorial we will be covering, here let me write it as well. We will be covering pronouns and also we will be covering verb conjugations based on the pronoun used. In addition to the pronouns in their nominative form, we will also cover the pronouns in their accusative and dative form. What is simple about the pronouns is that the accusative form is the same as the dative form. They simply differ from the nominative form. So what we will undertake first will be the pronouns, and then we will make a table for verb conjugations. With that said, let us start with the pronouns. So what I will do here is, what I would recommend for you is to create a table with three columns. One for the English pronoun, one for the Arabic pronoun, and the word pronoun in Arabic means ضمير. So I'll write it there for you. You do not have to remember the name now as a beginner. The ضمير. And I'll write pronouns in English as well as a reminder. But this one will be the nominative state. Then the third column will be, oh, that is not a straight line. I think there was a way to draw a shift maybe. Oh, okay, let us try this. Okay, you know what, I'll just, yeah, there we go. And this will be the accusative or dative. Okay, so let us start. And as I said in the in a previous video, there is no verb to be in Arabic. I is the same as I am, depending on the context. So we'll start with the first pronoun, which is I. And that refers to a singular masculine or feminine noun that is speaking in first person. For the Arabic pronoun, the word is أنا. Actually, I will lower that a bit so that I have room for the fatha. أنا. أنا. This also means I am. When I say I am eating, I would say أنا and then the word eating. But there is no to be verb in Arabic. So we will cover verb conjugations in a moment. For the accusative or dative states, the pronouns appear as a suffix to the verb. To the word. For example, let us say we have the word here, and sorry. Sorry about that. I was searching for a word to use as reference, but it is a rather difficult without taking verb conjugations first. So I will just write this here, and this is to indicate a word before the suffix, and the word ends with a ya. So for example, if I am saying someone is speaking to me, I would use this as me. Also, for might as well add this here. Sorry. This is also possessive pronouns as well. The only difference is one is added at the end of a noun, the other is added at the end of the verb. So if I want to say my, let us say dog, for example, I would say kalb, which is dog. Kalbi, my dog. Then we have you, second person. However, in Arabic, you, so we will have to identify whether it is singular or plural and whether it is masculine or feminine. So here I will open brackets and I would say S for singular, M for masculine. And that word would be an, hold on, let me adjust this a bit. An, te, an, te. And here the suffix will be at the end of the word, it will be a kaf, but kaf with a fatha. So if I said I am speaking to you, I would say أنا أكلمك. I speak to you. The reason why we have to emphasize the fatha will come shortly. Then we have you, singular, feminine. It is exactly the same as this word, with the only difference being the diacritic. Instead of anta, if I am speaking to a woman, I would say anti. Anti. Exactly the same as singular masculine, except with the diacritic. And here is the reason why I emphasize the fatha here, is because the suffix here for anti is kaf, but with a kasra. So if I am speaking to a woman, I would say أنا أكلمك. أنا أكلم, talk to, ki, أكلمك. I speak to you or I talk to you, depending on the context used. Create a separator here, another separator here, another separator here. Then we will cover the singulars first, and then we will move on to the plural pronouns. We have he, and in Arabic it is hu, wa, huwa, huwa. Think of it as saying the word who with an A at the end. Huwa, huwa, he. And the suffix is, if it is attached to the word, it is a ha. If it is not attached to the word, it is written as a circle, as we covered before. This occurs if the letter preceding it does not have any connections with the letter following it, such as waw or ra. This happens when the letter preceding it is connectable, such as lam or mim. Either way, this is how we write ha at the end of the word as a suffix. This is if an attachment exists, this if no attachment exists. Some people, as I probably have covered in the video, some people actually write it like that, whether it is connected or not, but that is not very common. Normally it's the second one or the third one. After that, we have she. And she is, it begins with the same letter, but instead of huwa, it is hiya. Hiya. As if you're saying haya, but with an E, I believe hiya. Hiya. And the suffix in this case will be ha, alif. Ha. Or it could be, if there is no connection, then it will be this, depending on whether this is used if the letter preceding it cannot connect. This is used, of course, if the letter preceding it can connect. Now we have finished with the singular pronouns. We will start or we will move on to the plural pronouns. And if you recall, plural nouns in Arabic come either in the dual form, two nouns only, or more than two. So we will cover the dual form first and then the multiple form then. So here, all right, pronouns, then nominative, then I'll write suffix to truncate the title and avoid wasting everyone's time. Create this, create this, create this. So for the dual form, if two people are talking about themselves as we, I'll write dual, only two people, they would say nahnu. Nahnu. We, or we are. Nahnu. That applies for both masculine and feminine. So two females would refer to each other, would refer to themselves as nahnu. Two males, or a male and a female, would refer to themselves as nahnu. And the suffix would be na. Noon fatha, alif mad. Na. We will come to how the suffix are used when we take examples of words. We will also add the possessive pronoun, and in the sentence structure lecture, we will also see how the accusative and dative forms play a role. For now, what you need to remember from this lecture is the nominative form alongside the verb conjugations. The accusative, the dative, and the possessive will come later. Then we have you, dual, the dual form. So if I am speaking to two men, two women, or a man and a woman, so this works for both as well, masculine and feminine. It is exactly the same as you singular, masculine and feminine, so they share the first three letters. And two instead of fatha or kasra, and we add two extra letters. Antuma, 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 antuma. And the suffix here would be kuma, كما. And if you recall from the articles lecture, we talked about the alif and noon for the dual. For certain conditions, such as pronouns, the alif without the noon is also considered an allusion to the dual plural form. Then we have they dual. So in their absence, or in the third person. And this will only be masculine because the feminine has a different form. Sorry, this is masculine or feminine. What I meant about different forms is in the conjugation. But in both cases, regarding how they are written exactly the same way for the nominative and the suffixes. هما 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 هما, and the suffixes are the same as the nominative form. So it would either be huma if it is attached, or if it is not attached, it would be, the ha would be written as such. Huma. I wish to redraw the kaf because it may seem a bit confusing for people. So I will I do not understand why I have a problem with this part here. Kuma. Okay, now we are done with the dual form. We will talk about the plural form. And to capitalize on the space, I will delete these. And then I will type, or I will write a new table. Nominative. And suffix, which is either accusative, dative, or possessive pronoun. Okay. So we will take we, the plural form. So multiple men, multiple women, multiple men and women. It is the same as the dual form. Nah, nu. Nah, nu. And the suffix will also be the same. Na. Na. And I will not write the sukoon for the vowels because it would be apparent from my pronunciation that through the elongation it indicates a vowel. Next, we have the second person, but for a group of men. So you, I will write plural masculine, and here it would be antum. Antum. The same three letters in the beginning, an, but instead of anta, antum, and there is no dual alif either. No antuma, it is antum. Then we will add the suffix. In this case will be kum. exactly the same as كما, but without the alif that indicates duality. كم. Next, we move on to the you, plural, feminine. So if I am speaking to a group of women, I will not say أنتم, I will use أنتم if I am speaking to men or a group of men and women. But if it is a group of exclusively women, I will use the pronoun. Also the same 3 letters. If you have noticed, the you pronoun in Arabic shares the first 3 letters, though they differ slightly with the suffix and with the tashkil. Now here what we will add is the feminine noun. It is referred to as the feminine noun because it is added as a suffix to indicate femininity. So it would be, I'll just highlight this dhamma, na. So if you hear the letter twice, it is automatically a shadda combined with the mobile diacritic or a haraka, because sukun is static or stationary because there is no movement. So it's sukun and the haraka. But we fuse it into shadda and its respective diacritic. Antunna. Antunna. Now for the suffix, it is kunna. Kunna. And this noun is the feminine noun. Normally, if you see it added as a suffix, so as an extra to the word, it is most likely alluding to a feminine noun. Then we move on to the third person. So they, plural, masculine. That is hum. Similar to the situation with the second person and the third person, it is the ha, the meme, but without the alif that indicates duality. Hum. Hum. And the suffix is easy to remember because it is exactly the same as the nominative form, hum. Lastly, we have the they, plural, feminine. Starts with the same letter as the dual feminine they, who, but we will add the feminine noun. Hunna. Hunna. And the same with this pronoun here, the suffix is the same. Hunna. Hunna. And if you would like to read a chapter or pages involving this noun here, then I would recommend reading chapter Joseph in the Quran, which details the story of Prophet Joseph. You will see the use of this noun quite often if you would like to practice with it. Now we are done with the pronouns. I will also be supplying everyone with a sheet that includes both the pronouns and the conjugations to each respective pronoun. If I cannot paste the link to it or paste it itself in the description, I will probably use a OneDrive or a Google Drive link to supply it for reference. then we will cover verb conjugations. Now we will cover verb conjugation. So what I would like for you to do is, I would like for you to create another table for the conjugations with 4 columns. The first one will be the pronouns. The second one will be past tense verb. The second will be present tense. And the third will be present tense, and the fourth would be imperative or the commands. For the future tense, actually we will discuss the future tense after we finish with this table here to make it easier. But for now, we will, because the future tense, at least one of the forms of the future tense, is an extra word to the present tense. As in English, you say, I will eat. So this is the present tense of the verb eat, and you add will. In Arabic, one of the forms of writing future tense is I and eat, and with an extra word in the middle. There are other forms, but we will not cover them for simplicity. If I am able to create an intermediate level tutorial, perhaps I could cover the other forms of future tense. But as I said, I am not highly qualified in the Arabic language, so I will not be confident enough in my knowledge base to deliver the material needed, and I prefer to fulfill my responsibilities fully. And if I am unable to do so, I do not engage in a task of any sort. So if I am able to cover or create a tutorial for an intermediate level, I will happily do so for everyone to benefit from. If it means benefiting anyone, I will gladly do it. Okay, so also what I would recommend for you to do is we will write the root of the word in the columns for each pronoun, and we will be adding either a prefix to it or a suffix to it. So I would recommend the additions be made in a different color to highlight the differences. So I will quickly write the pronouns here, and I'll probably write the singulars and then the duals or dualities and then the plurals, because I may be running out of space. NT, then who, what, then to remove this, he, yeah, and a line here, a line here, a line here, and a line here. So we will take one verb for today's example, and if you would like to practice further, I would suggest looking or searching for different conjugation sheets or different verbs that you can practice on. I will see if I can find any such exercises for you online myself, but if I am unsuccessful, hopefully you will be successful where I failed. The conjugations, follow a general rule with certain exceptions for special verbs. However, most verbs follow the same tradition or the same principle with conjugations. So what I will do here is we will take the verb to do or to make or to act. That verb can be used for these three contexts, for these three definitions, depending on its context. And as a noun, the word also means verb. So the word is فعل. That is the noun. فعل. Now what we need to do is transform that root to a verb in different tenses, conjugated differently as well. Now here is the trick for conjugation. The trick is to find the root of the word, not any word that is derived from the root, the actual root of the word. Most words in Arabic have a root of only 3 letters. I believe it is called the consonantal root, if I recall the name correctly. So what you need to do firstly before you start conjugating is finding the root of the verb. Normally, for you to obtain the root of the verb is simply switch it to its past tense or switch it to its noun, because some verbs in the past tense differ from the noun, so the root would differ. However, I will give you the same advice that I followed myself: practice. And the best practice, at least in my perspective, is reading the Quran, because that is the origin of Arabic grammar. That is the source of Arabic grammar. So I would say, if you want practice, in addition to reading literature, of course, I would say start with the Quran. But it is up to you really how you wish to start. So we have the root here. So what we will do is write the root in all three columns. However, we will not write the diacritic because the conjugations change the diacritics depending on the prefixes and the suffixes used. Oh, and when I say revert the word to the past tense, it is the conjugation for he. That is normally the root of the word that you are looking for. Here, the root of the word as a noun is also the past tense of he. So they match. There are some verbs that do not match. So here we will say, and here this is the noun and it means verb. So we will use the verb of the word verb, or we will conjugate the verb of the word verb. Okay. And then, is there a way for me to copy this? I tried this last time and it did not work, so I apologize for the delay, but I will write this really quickly, but also neatly. So even though we will be adding suffixes here, I will write the lam as it is, as if it is the end of the word, and then when we start the suffix, I will simply write the hyphen and the suffix, and you can fuse the letter lam with the suffix. If you would like to, after creating this table and seeing what the suffixes are, you can create another table, a neater one, with all the additions prepared. So, and then for the imperative, here. My handwriting in Arabic is already awful, but with the graphics tablet is even worse. Okay, and there we go. I made a mistake on purpose. I do not know if you caught it or not, but we will cover it once we reach the imperative column. So I will choose red to create enough contrast when I write the suffixes and the, yep, there we go, to when I write the suffixes and the prefixes. Now for the past tense, I has a suffix with a ta at the end, and it is with a dhamma, and it will be as so: fa'al tu, fa'al tu. Now in the newer table that you will make, or if you are erasing and connecting, the lam will look like this with the ta. But to save time for everyone, I will simply add the hyphen, and you can add it later on if you would like. فعلت. For the anta, it is the same. We will add the ta at the end, suffix. However, instead of فعلت, فعلت. أنت فعلت. You did. This is I did or I made. You did. فعلت. For the she, exactly the same. أنت فعلتِ. So the ta here has the same diacritic as the ta here. The ta here has the same diacritic as the ta here. فعلتِ. أنتِ فعلتِ. You did. هو, because this is the root, we will not be adding anything. Remember, when we revert the word to a past tense for he, this would be our root. As you can see, 3 letters. It never reaches 2 letters. It always starts with 3 letters as the root, or 4 or 5 or 6, depending on the word. But it never reaches below 3 letters. هو فعل. هو فعل. He did. Finally, for she, let us see here. هي, sorry, hold on. I need to adjust my light pen. I'll be right back. Apologies for that. I think I needed to install a few drivers. Okay, so for هي, it is فعل. هي فعلت. She did. فعلت. She did. Now let us move to the present tense. أنا, I do or I make, is أنا أفعل. أنا أفعل. So for the present tense, it will be a prefix for أنا instead of a suffix. أنا أفعل. For أنت, you, أنت تفعل. أنت تفعل. Or if you wish to be accurate, it would be أفعل. However, when people speak, they do not use proper grammatical syntax. So most of the time people will speak with sukoon at the end for everything. They will not add a dhamma or a kasra or a fatha to indicate if it is a accusative or if it is a dative or if it is a nominative. Anti. So for anti, we will add both prefix and suffix. So it will have taf, a, lean, and it will be تفعلين تفعلين. So you will add a ta and you will add a ya noon at the end. هو, simple prefix ya. هو يفعل or يفعل. You can add the dhamma. I do not want you to worry about the grammatical syntax of verbs at the moment, because that is intermediate or even advanced Arabic for grammar, which is not the scope of this course or of this tutorial. This tutorial is aimed to give you a basic introduction and very simple foundation in Arabic, so that you are able to read, write, listen, and speak to Arabic speakers. And trust me, if once you finish this tutorial, you will be speaking better Arabic than the Arabs themselves. Apologies for the coughing. I am ill. Okay. So هي تفعل or تفعل, but it does not really matter what you put at the end. I'll leave it empty. Normally when you see a letter, a consonant without a diacritic, it automatically means a sukoon. I wanted to emphasize that in case I forgot to mention it in the previous lectures. Also, speaking of forgetting, I know I forgot to mention the words that have a connecting hamza or a hamzat wasl in the previous video, but I will be covering that with the imperative, because there are certain imperative verbs that use the connecting hamza, so I will cover all of that together shortly after we finish with the table. Now, for the imperative, there is none for the first person. So that is one of the mistakes that I mentioned earlier. For anta, if I wish to command someone and I say do, I say if al. However, this alif does not have a hamza. It is a connecting hamza. Even though it sounds as if the alif has a kasra beneath it, it does not have a hamza. And normally, with connecting hamza, we do not put the diacritics. Most of the time, it is pronounced e with a kasra. Sometimes it differs, but that also comes with practice with regards to identification. We will cover how to identify whether an imperative starts with a connecting hamza or a cutting hamza after we are done with the verb conjugation chart. Now, where are we? Anta. Anti, sorry. Anti, if li. Anti if'ali, you do. Or in this case, I am telling a woman, do. So it will be if'ali. Here, I am telling a man, do. If'al. If'ali, if'al. Now, for he and she, they do not have an imperative because they are absent. This is the third person, so they do not have an imperative. Imperatives are only present in the second person perspective, not in the first or third person. So we are done with the singular. Now let us move on to the duality and then the plural, and after that we will cover a brief summary or a brief anecdote of the connecting hamzas, and that will be it for today. So it was the pronoun, then we have past tense. So it seems that this is pressure sensitive. Okay, I'll have to be accustomed to that. Then present tense. Then we have imperative. And also, oh yes, future tense. I will cover that at the end, God willing. Okay, so there's the header. There's the separator. They're very ugly separators. I apologize for that. So we will cover the duality now. First is we. Oh, sorry. Not writing in English anymore. It is nahnu. Nahnu. And remember, we are using the same verb. So while I am writing this, you can write فعل, fa, ain, lam as the root before we make the additions, while I populate the table. أن تو ما نحن, adding the diacritics for practice. هما, I will write here M for masculine because they differ in the conjugation, as I mentioned earlier. هما for the feminine. Okay, then we will write فعل, فعل, here فعل, فعل. So I was reviewing how many videos I have left before this tutorial is done, and I discovered that I only have 1 or 2 more videos left. One will be a collection of words, a list of prepositions, different nouns, different adjectives, the name of days, the name of numbers, etc. And then the last video, or I could fuse them into one, I am still deciding. The last one will be sentence structure, which will be very basic, no grammar whatsoever. It is simply proper syntax, how where does the subject where is the subject inserted, where is this object located, could I write noun and then verb, or could I write verb first and then noun? Very, very simple, very, very basic. Okay, so yeah, I'm trying to create enough contrast. Yeah, okay. So for نحن, as you recall, no imperative, so we will cross that off the list. And since these are third person, we will cross that off the list as well. Okay, now for the past tense, for نحن, نحن, yes, it is na. It will be فعلنا, we did, فعلنا. Then for أنتما, it will be أنتما. I will erase this for now and add it later. فعلتما. فعلتما. أنتما فعلتما. You two did this. For هما, you will simply add ألف. فعل. And remember, an ألف vowel or ألف مد written after a lam is written like so. Some people slant the lam. It is up to you how you wish to do it. I prefer to do a right angle and then from the corner a diagonal line as so. So this alif will be added like so. There are those who write it like so, with this being the lam, then it curves backwards and the alif moves to the front like so. This may confuse you, so you can write it like so. But if you do see this in text, know that this is lam, alif. Okay, now for the feminine huma, it will be فعلتا. فعلتا. They did. For the present tense, نحن, the same as the singular أنا, it will be a prefix, but instead of alif, it will be a noun. نفعل. نحن نفعل or نفعل. I'll leave it open. And I will color this darker so that it is one dot. نحن, actually, let me rewrite it for clarity. نحن نفعل. أنتما. أنتما تفعلان. And here are the alif and noon that indicate duality. تفعلان. And again, the lam with the alif will be written like so, and then the noon separated because technically the alif is here. Now that I recall, there are those who write it like so as well. Lam and then the alif. It is very rare for me to see it like so. The lam and the alif and then the space. But however you wish to write it, I would suggest this one because this is the common one. This is also common, but I believe it depends on if you are using a computer or if you're writing by hand. I think computers type lam alif as so instead of typing it like so. Huma, because it is a duality, these two will be appearing here and here, but with a prefix in addition. Huma yaf'alan. And as you can see, the ya from huwa in the present tense makes an appearance, but with the suffix to indicate duality. So if you study the table, you can actually catch trends with regards to conjugation as well as the usage of prefixes and suffixes. Huma, for feminine, it would be taf'alan. The same as with huma. Ya for he, it is they as well. Ta for she was here for they as well. Okay, now we are done with this part. We have the plural form, and we are done with the conjugation sheet. Again, I apologize if I am taking too long. I enjoy writing this for everyone. Sorry, not nominative, I meant past tense. I enjoy writing this for everyone during the lecture as opposed to before the lecture or through a time lapse. I feel it is more involving and engaging in that manner. And I just realized that let me see if I can return it. We did not cover the imperatives yet. Okay, it was not lost, thank God. Now, the only verb that will have an imperative would be you. As we said, the imperative is only in the second person, and it would be if, and actually since there is no connection here anyways, I'll write it like that. If la, with only the alif, no noon this time. So it will be like so without anything after. If ala, you do. Okay, now I have covered everything. We can move on to the plural form. Okay, so I'll have to write this again. I apologize for the delay. Pronouns, past tense, present tense. Then we have the imperative. So I will add the dividers or the separators. As you can see, they are completely straightened. Okay, so we have نحن, then we have أنتم, remember the meme can be written like so or going to the bottom. I am simply writing it as so, shortened to save up room. نحن, and this is masculine only or masculine and feminine. أنتن, so I should write or masculine and feminine together. This is exclusively feminine. أنتن, so this is only feminine, and remember this table is for the plural form or more than two nouns. Then هم, which is masculine, or it could also be masculine and feminine together in a group. And lastly, I don't get it. Yep, there we go. We have هن, which is for women. هن, feminine. Then we have the root. Another root. And then فعل. Then فعل. And then فعل. فعل. needed to relax my hand for a bit. I've been recording these videos consecutively. I enjoy uploading the playlist fully as opposed to uploading each video separately. I feel I am motivated to finish the tutorial in such a manner. However, I actually started this tutorial long ago, but because of certain reasons I could not finish it in time. But thankfully I am going to finish it fairly soon. Okay, now let us grab the red. For نحن, it is exactly the same as before. نا فعلنا فعلنا. For أنتم, take the last two letters here and add them here. فعلتم فعلتم فعلتم. For أنتن, take the last two letters as well. فعلتن فعلتن. هم فعلوا. As you would notice, this alif was not enunciated at all. I did not say فعلوا. This is because this alif is an extra to differentiate between waw used as part of the word or waw for the plural form. This is called the plural waw alongside the silent alif to indicate that this is in the plural form. But as I said, this was added as extra later on for the non-Arabs when they became Muslims. So it is never pronounced. So technically it does not exist. Lastly, for the past tense, it will be فعلنا فعلنا فعلنا. And of course here the lam would be fused with the noon, and above it would be fused with the waw and the alif. I wanted to highlight that there will be a connection because this is a lam. Now for the present tense, the same as before. نفعل. For أنتم, it would be the ta from أنت. تفعلون تفعلون. أنتم تفعلون. You do. Then for the feminine form, it would be أنتن تفعلن. أنتن تفعلن. And as you can see, this is the ta for the second person. For the third person, it would be يفعلوا, and you will add, for the present tense, we still add the waw that indicates plurality and noon. يفعلون, this is a vowel, like here too, it is a vowel. فعلوا. Lastly, هن يفعلن. هن يفعلن, they do, if I am speaking about a group of women. This for the imperative does not exist, and for the last two forms, they do not exist either. Finally, for the imperative here, we will add the alif with the connecting hamza. أنتم افعلوا. Again, this waw to indicate the plural form. افعلوا. For the feminine, we will add the alif again. افعلنا. أنتن افعلنا. افعلنا. And this is it with regards to the conjugation sheet. Now, a quick word regarding the future tense, then we will move on to the imperatives and how to identify if it is connecting or cutting hamza. For the future tense, at least with regards to the level of this tutorial, we will take, so it will always use, well, not always, but for the form or the variant that I will show you, it will use the present tense of the verb depending on the pronoun used for the future. نحن, أنا, أنت, أنتِ, and so on and so forth. For simplicity, I will use I. I will eat. So it will be أنا because we write from right to left, but this will match with this. And this also brings us to a point for the Hamzat al-Mad or the elongation Hamza, and I will talk about it in just a moment. آكل. Well, what about will? Will is the word سوف. 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 Another form, so let me underline this in red to indicate the future tense. Another form to indicate swiftness. So أنا سوف آكل, I will eat but not right away or not immediately. Well, what if I want to say I will eat immediately? You can remove سوف, and instead of سوف I will write the word آكل, and you can instead write, you can attach a scene to the beginning. أنا سآكل. This form right here indicates swiftness, even though it will be in the future, but it means that the speaker or the pronoun will enact the verb swiftly. This lacks urgency. This form lacks urgency. There are other variations for future tense, but as I said, for this level, the beginner's level, we will keep it for these variations, for the future tense. So simply use the present tense, correctly conjugated to the pronoun, but add either سوف between the pronoun and the verb, or add a scene attached to the verb with a fatha. So we will cover the elongation hamza before we move on to the imperative form and the cutting hamza and the connecting hamza. Do I have black? Yeah. The verb eat as a root is أكل for a noun, أكل. Or if we want to revert it to the past tense for هو or he, it is أكل. So it already starts with a cutting hamza as a part of the word. Now, if you recall, if I want to conjugate a verb for I or أنا, I always add an alif with a hamza. Now it would be challenging to say أكل. أكل. There is a conflict here. So in order to make the process smoother on the tongue and the speaker, the two hamzas fuse into one hamza and into one alif. So they fuse together, and by their powers combined, they are, well, not Captain Planet, but when two hamzas fuse, they automatically turn into a elongated hamza or hamzat mad. So normally when you see this hamza right here, it normally means that the root of the word has a hamza and another hamza has been added to it. Hence why it was transformed into a elongation hamza or hamzat mad. So that is it with regard to the elongation hamza. Firstly, the word name, not the imperative verb name, name yourself, the noun name. What is your name? The word is ism. Ism. Most people write it as such. That is incorrect. Ism without cutting hamza. Another word is son. Son of, actually. Son of. When I say person A, the son of person B, normally between, so let us say Muhammad ibn Abdullah. It is written bin, however it is not pronounced bin, it is pronounced ibn with an alif, but it is not written because it is between two nouns or two names. However, if you will start the sentence or the line with the word, so let us say you want to say ibn Abdullah instead of saying Muhammad ibn Abdullah, you will write it with an alif like so. Only at the beginning of the line, when you start a new line, you write it without any diacritics because it is a connecting hamza. Also, daughter of, which, so let us take an example. Maryam ibnat Imran, which is the name of Lady Mary, peace be upon her, the mother of Prophet Jesus, or the Prophet Yeshua, peace be upon him. Here, it is written as connecting hamza instead of cutting hamza. So I would say Maryam abnata, connected, fuse it. I do not say Maryama ibnat. No, I say Maryam abnat. Similarly, I say Muhammad ibn Abdullah. I fuse it. I do not create a distinction between the two words. Another word is Monday, which is if. Of course, we will cover the name of the days at the very end. Actually, in the upcoming lecture, God willing. Ithnan. Sorry, that is two. Ithnain. And also 2, the number 2, which is what I wrote earlier. Ithnan. And as you can see, there is a similarity. That is because the name of the days are numerical in nature. The first day is number 1, though it is called Ahad. The second day is Ithnain. The third day is Thulatha, the third day. The fourth day is Al-Arbi'a. Fifth day is Khamis. Sixth day is Jum'ah, and the reason it is not called by its number 6 is because the word Jum'ah is from the root Jam'a, which means gathering. And that is when God was creating the universe. On the 6th day, all creation gathered in worship, hence why it is called Jum'ah. 7th day is called Sabt, which means stillness, and that is where all the laws of the universe have settled. And I believe that is why the Jews have a holiday on the Sabt or Sabbath. And as you can see, yes, there is a similarity between Hebrew and Arabic because they are from the root, the Semitic root or the Semitic language. Also, when I say days, I do not mean 1 day, 24 hours. The word day in Arabic means a period of time. It could be a year, it could be a month, it could be a few days, it could be centuries, it could be millennia. The word yawm does not have a limit. So when I say created the universe in 6 days, I am inaccurately translating the word day. I guess I should call it accurately epochs or eras, 6 eras or 6 epochs instead of days. I am sorry if I digressed. This was an extra piece of trivium that slipped. But we will be covering, so next lesson inshallah, or God willing, we will be covering a list of various adjectives, various nouns, various name of days, the name of numbers, and so on and so forth, so that in the last lecture, which is the the next one is the penultimate one, the one after that is the ultimate one. That is where we will exercise creating a sentence together through the usage of various prepositions, nouns, pronouns, and verbs. I apologize if I took too much of your time. I hope this lecture was beneficial and helpful to everyone who watched it. I will see you in the next video. Have a nice day, or rather enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe and take care.